So the last piece of this dinner tonight is we're going to have a panel discussion with all the local heroes. And it's going to be moderated by Jason Scorse. And I get to introduce Jason. So Jason earned his PhD in agricultural and natural resources economics at UC Berkeley in 2005. And in that same year, he started teaching at Monterey Institute of International Studies. And as someone who barely dabbles in economics, I thought it was really interesting the specifics of what he's doing there. He teaches courses in environmental and natural resource economics, ocean and coastal economics, and sustainable development. And in 2009, he became the director of the, he became the chair of the International Policy Program. And in 2011, he became the director of the new Center for the Blue Economy, which whose mission is to promote ocean and coastal sustainability. He's also the author of What Environmentalists Need to Know About Economics, and that's available on Amazon. And he's a surfer, a cook, and he also writes fiction. We're really, really honored to have him here tonight.
Hi everybody, I was asked to come in and moderate this discussion, and so I thought the best way to do this would be forward-looking. We all know all the amazing things that people have done to get these awards. We all live in this really amazing progressive community, but there's always more work to be done. So I want to pass it to the panelists here, the heroes, and kind of the question, you know, what's the next frontier? What is the next piece of work, the missing, you know, the gaps? What are you working on now? What's, you know, the next steps in this work for food justice, for food security, and for sustainability in the coastal environment we live? And then maybe we'll have them interact amongst each other. Maybe it'll spark some conversation. I might have some questions, and then mostly we want to pass it over to you to engage with them, since it's, you know, it's rare that you have so many minds focused on such a topical issue all at once. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on here, and I guess I've been told to pass this mic. Do you want to start? Okay. All right. So can you pass this down?
All right. Well, dropped into the hot seat. I'm standing in for Kendra Baker. I'm her business partner with the Penny Ice Creamery and the Picnic Basket. First of all, let's just give a shout out to this day. I think if there's any indication that we were all meant to be here, it's the amazing weather that we've had and the people around us. I think I'll keep it brief because I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things that will come up. I think looking forward,
We can't hear you, Ben.
sorry, looking forward, I think we're seeing a lot of the beginnings, and I think a lot of, at the same time, things that have been happening for a long time and are now perhaps gaining traction in a wider consciousness. And that's just the fact that everything is interconnected. And I was having a conversation with somebody earlier. It's easy to look at things, and I think especially in the world right now, things that are driven by profit, and put them in silos and say this is the one thing that works. But if you take a step back and you look at it more holistically, you realize that nothing exists in a bubble. And if we're all aware, at a minimum aware of what's going on around us, we get inspiration from that, and it furthers the efforts that we all make. And so that's really something that Kendra and I were really trying to be aware of in the building of our business, that if we could just be aware of what was going on around us and engage with the people around us to build on what we were doing and to support what we were doing, that we would be successful. And I'd like to think that that's worked, and I'd like to think that it's proof of concept in a way. Really, we joke about what we're doing being a social experiment, and yeah, there's some very real things about what we do, but at the same time, we're not. I don't think we're scared to say that we've tried to take some risks in ways that would prove that what we believe is actually true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, it's one of the things that I love about Santa Cruz is not only do we have such a healthy local food movement, but we have such a very strong food justice movement in Santa Cruz County. And you know, Santa Cruz County, you know, some of you have heard me say before, was the county that created the first food bank in California, and has really kind of taken us and pushed us and supported us to become the first nutrition bank in California. You know, as you know, our focus has really been on increasing access to healthy food for all families. You know, we all know that we have about a third of our population that really struggles to be able to afford anything other than cheap food, which is high in carbs and low in fiber. And we see all around us the impacts of that in terms of the diabetes and obesity, which is 2 times amongst low-income families than it is around the rest of the population. You know, so we've done really great around that. You know, our community has really stepped forward. I was just sharing with Scott that, you know, we were able to distribute 5 million pounds of fresh fruits and vegetables last year because of that support. Last year we were awarded the Mighty Apple Award for the highest percentage of fresh fruits and vegetables any food bank in the country. We call that the Healthiest Food Bank in America Award. So, and you know, so it's an interesting question. What's the next frontier? You know, and we were just sharing. The next frontier is we've got to take it lower. We can't just be on the treadmill. You know, how do we create a fundamental change? We were sharing. You know, yes, 60% of the population is doing better, and the other 40% is doing worse. How do we make a fundamental change? And so, we know that providing you know, healthier food and healthier futures and a healthy workforce is a big important part of it. But what I see as the next frontier for the food bank is we're really shifting from focusing on feeding to focusing on teaching. You know, and so we were talking earlier. You know, we have started up 28 what we call Patient for Produce, but 28 nutrition classes that we do twice a month in 28 locations throughout Santa Cruz County. We have about 1,500 families that are attending those, and we're teaching cooking. And not only that, we're talking earlier, we have trained 300 low-income parents and grandparents, you know, and they're the ones who are doing the teaching. And we're just talking about never underestimate the power of the abuelas, who are making an incredible difference. You know, we had 30,000 people attend those nutrition classes last year. You know, and you know, we do our evaluation and just looking at the changes in terms of how many people have reduced the amount of oil they use. You know, we teach the basics, make sure at least half everything you eat is fresh fruits and vegetables, more lean protein, you know, more whole grains, you know. So we're teaching healthy cooking. We're also teaching healthy living. So, and there again, two really basic things, you know, drink water, don't drink soda, right?
Yeah.
And also, you know, a walk a day keeps the doctor away, right?
Yeah.
You know, so. And the other thing that I love is we're really teaching our families, the families we work with. We work with about 15,000 families a month that get food assistance from our programs. We're teaching them to be leaders, to give back to their own communities. So they are leaders, but they're really getting an opportunity to step forward. And I just love it, you know, and I just think that by providing people hope and providing people tools and providing people just, you know, a new role model, I think we're going to make a fundamental difference in this community. And so I'm excited. So
Yeah.
thanks so much.
Yeah.
Well, how do I follow that up? Well, you know, it's funny. You know, we made a commercial, TV commercial a couple of years ago that, and I was just reflecting on that you know, 28, a little bit, about 28 years ago, I started New Leaf, and when we started it, it was all, you know, it was about providing good, healthy food to as many people as, you know, we could, and you know, and Also, it was about supporting the community. So that's a part of our name, New Leaf Community Markets. Sometimes it gets shortened up. People call it New Leaf Market. It's actually New Leaf Community Markets. It's the most important. That's the most important part of the name to me. So community is a big part of what New Leaf is about. We give 10% of our profits back to the community. We support Willy's program. We support a lot of other programs. This program right here. It's my favorite program. I love the Homeless Garden Project, and I'm so proud to be a supporter of the Homeless Garden Project. But it's just one of many that we support. And but I'm not here to talk about New Leaf, maybe I am, but I hope I'm talking about New Leaf as an example, and New Leaf is an example of a business that does give back, and also that's what we when I started it and I made this commitment to give 10% of our profits back to the community. It was not just because New Leaf gives 10% of its profits back to the community. That's a good thing, but if all these other businesses out in the world gave 10% of their profits back to the community, we'd really see a whole different world, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see more and more people adopt that model, because I think it's a sustainable model. Use that word, sustainable. On top of that, it's interesting because I don't know, it was like 5 or 7 years ago, this whole idea of local became very trendy, and it was on the cover of Time magazine, and that's just what we've always done, is buy from local farmers and buy from local vendors and support people like like Tabitha's company, and work with those kinds of companies, because that's what we're about, so it's pretty simple in that sense. And if more people, more businesses, more retailers, more everybody would support, sometimes you have to pay a little bit more, but so be it. You have to pay a little bit more for organic, because it costs, there is a little more cost to it, but we get food really cheap in this country. So if you have to pay a little more for organic, so be it, come on. So, I think it's most important. As far as, where the question was, where are we heading? I haven't really addressed that, have I? Where are we heading? I mean, I think we're heading where we are here. This is, where we are in this place right here, with all of you here, is supporting, these types of local heroes, and what they're about. Supporting the Homeless Garden Project and their CSA, and Live Earth and their CSA. Buying direct from farmers. Buying from local food markets. Buying from the penny ice cream. All these great. You have so many great choices here. So I think that's where the future is. It's where the present is, but it's also where the future is. And the future is in organic. The future is in non-GMO. The future is in good, healthy choices that we make for everybody. The future is in helping to support everyone, not just those who have, but those who are in need, being able to get what they need. As what Willy's program is about. So, that I think that's what the future is and needs to be.
Yeah.
Hi. As far as farming goes, I think the future, what I've been noticing, farming for 12 years here on the Monterey Peninsula, is the greens, healthy greens. People are more into healthy greens now. I remember 12 years ago, I couldn't sell chard or kale, couldn't make any money at the farmer's market trying to sell it. Now I can make a living in the winter going to the city and to local farmers markets with greens. And so I think that on my end, what I'm seeing is more nutrition-based, healthier, more of the health, more varieties grown for their nutrient content and pigments and things like that, and people having more home gardens and urban gardens, and just the interest is growing. Another story is, I remember when I was first going to school for crop science, is a friend of mine's father said, "What are you going to college for?" And I said, "I'm going for farming, crop science," and he laughed at me. So, and I thought, how ignorant can you be? I mean, I said, who's going to grow the food that you eat? You know, but I mean, it seems like there's such a change as far as that goes. And so I think it's a lot about healthy living and healthy greens, nettles, you know, purslane, all the weeds, you know. I mean, we harvest them, we bring them to market, people want them, you know. All the kales, the chards, all of it. And just about getting healthier. I think there's a big trend towards that. And of course, organic, sustainable, non-GMO and all that. So that's how I see it going. So.
Thanks, Jamie. I think sitting here and being considered a hero really reflects not anything about hero or being a hero, but it's really the community. I started farming 18 years ago, and nobody would have ever considered a beginning farmer a hero. And it's about food and the network of food, I think, that has risen to a level of consciousness that makes us all heroes. And I think this little microcosm right here of honoring so many things about food is being taken to another level. And I think it's the networking of groups like these. We're right now at Live Earth Farm, we're hosting a dinner just like that for the Teen Kitchen Project, which is for kids that have cancer. And there's probably many going on all over the country. And so think about this and the networking that's happening around this particular element of nourishment that comes right from where we're sitting. And that's the miracle, and I think that's where the frontier is to take this to a level where we're all growing our food, where we're nourishing ourselves, for many, many different reasons. And I think the Homeless Garden Project, when I went to the UCSC Farm and Garden Project in 1994, was already a model and an inspiration. They were double digging beds and they were doing the work, and it was what inspired me. And we went to Watsonville and did the same thing, and now it's exponential. So it's exciting to see the CSA movement explode, the organic farming movement explode, and at all levels. The cooks I have to recognize, and we should applaud them. Yeah. They're the ones that catapulted the local food movement, if you think about it, from what we were growing to a very different level. And it was, maybe omnivore's dilemma, but the cooks did it. They did it because they made us taste it. They made us realize what all these greens and all these things can really taste like. So they're at this pivotal point of transforming what we grow and bringing it to you. And I would encourage all of you that when you get a CSA box, not to think, oh, what am I going to do with this? But to think of the cook. to think of the cook, you take on take on being a cook and see what you can do, because it's almost a transformation that is miraculous, when you can cook something and feed yourself with it. So I hope the frontier is that we all can nourish ourselves, whether it's your backyard, from farmers, large scale and small scale. And we're in a culture where large scale farming is, of course, all around us in Watsonville and Salinas and everywhere. And there's a transformation too. I see it with Driscoll and I see it with the large growers. They are starting to realize what's going on, and we need to reach out and we need to build these networks. So I'm hoping networks is the next frontier. Just keep networking. And then the plug that I need to put in is our youth, our children, educating. We have 1,500 kids come through here. Jessica from our Discovery program at the farm is here. Raise your hand, Jessica, please. There is nothing that inspires me more every day when I see a kid on our farm to give me a reason why I farm. And so I think the kids and the youth, whether it's through Food What or any kid that comes to the farm, transformation that you can see is absolutely amazing, just like what this garden does. So I think we need to use farms as a resource and connect the community to farms all around us and gardens in whatever way. So I hope that's the next frontier too.
Hello. What's happening? Hi. What's going on? If you guys don't know me, I'm Tabitha. I've been cooking in your community for 23 years. And it just happens to be that I started this little company, Friend and Cheese's Jam Company, that has gotten a little bit of twerks on the radar of a lot of you. But what I have wanted and needed for that twerk and attention is because I want the attention to be, I don't want evenings like this to be the exception. I want it to be our rule in our community. I want this to be in every backyard. I want us to not be just those that have the ability to have these lovely evenings. Every backyard can have a little something growing. Every community can have a little piece of this beauty that is what makes us people, humans, and we've lost that. We got into this automated world in the 50s, and we've had 40 years of untying knots of, women going back to work, which is an amazing thing, but we have lost our history, and that is preservation and growing and being part of a food community and not being an exception and not being going into your co-op or grocery store and it being a runway of what do you have in your basket. It should be a given. And I want that for all of us. And I think if anything that we can take from this, spread that. Talk about that. I think a tomato should be all of ours gifts at the end of the summer. It should not be because some of us know about that. It should be because we all know about it. And then we can move on to bigger things. Food is awesome. Food and the production and us chefs, and we work and we bust our ass. But it's not what it's really about. It's about community and it's about who we are. And it's this right here. I want to go into every neighborhood in Santa Cruz County and beyond and be able to walk in and see this type of evening because it's possible and it happened. This is part of our history, my friends, and I want us to be back to that. And that is why I started what I did. My jars are jars of possibilities for those that don't have the opportunity, but we collectively can be so much stronger and better and educate and be part of something that's really kick-ass, and that's being a part of the human community. And if we start with food, we're gonna be a kinder, gentler humanity for our next generations. And that's about all I got to say. I'm in the middle of a catering right now, so I gotta go. Party on, and I love you all. Thank you.
So I get to go last. It's so beautiful right now. The sky is just so beautiful. It's just stunning. Can you just take a minute and look at the sky? It's so beautiful. I just feel so lucky to be here right now. And I really want to take a chance to thank so many people. This dinner, really a lot of people worked to make this dinner possible. Thanks so much to Sarah Wood of Edible Monterey Bay and Natalie Alfaro, Homeless Garden Projects. She's right back there. Homeless Garden Projects Development Coordinator, this is her last day with us. And Derek Polka will be taking her place. So we're throwing him right in the deep end with Natalie helping. And also Santa Cruz Weekly is not here tonight, but they were a really willing sponsor, and I'm really thankful to them. And if you haven't taken a minute to look at the board, there were tons of people who made this happen, our chefs and our volunteers. And then I want to say that Homeless Garden Project's vision is we envision a thriving and inclusive community, workforce, and local food system. So you can really see how, we belong on this panel with these diverse organizations and businesses. And then what distinguishes us is that we are working with people who are homeless to help them carve a path out of homelessness. And so when I started thinking about the frontier, I was thinking, 10 years from now, where we would be. And I was trying to see that through the eyes of someone who's homeless in 10 years. And I was thinking of that person asking the question, where do I belong? How do I contribute to my community? And how do I sustain myself? And so I was thinking, how is a Homeless Garden Project going to be addressing that person 10 years from now? And our board has been doing some really early stages strategic planning, and we have some of the answers. We don't have all of the answers of what's going to be our next frontier, but we know that we want to be farming at Pogonip, which some of you have heard about. It's a proposed permanent site for us. We don't have final approvals for it yet. It's I'll talk a little bit more about it if there's interest when there's time, after the questions, because I'm trying to be loyal to my 2 to 3 minutes here. And we also would really like to be serving, right now we're serving 15 people every year. We'd like to be serving 50 people every year. We invest really deeply in people. We work with them for a full year. We work with them very intensively. And we invest a lot of resources in that person. So we don't have the really high numbers, but we have the really amazing impacts, really turning lives around. So when I started thinking about frontiers and challenges and issues, 2 things came up for me. One of them was our social enterprises. Right now, our social enterprises are about 1/3 of our income every year. We bring in about 1/3 of our income from earned income. So as we try to scale up, and our expenses are going to increase, how can we really build robust enterprises that not only can we maintain that 33% of our income coming from earned income, but we can increase it. That's what we'd like to do. So that's a big question. And then the other question for me was partnerships. We couldn't be where we are today without partnerships. And we do share a lot of goals with a lot of local organizations, a lot of interlocking goals. And I really think that if we are going to have the impact that we aspire to, not just impacting a small community, but having really wide local and regional impact, that we're going to have to be working on building some really strategic partnerships. So that's it from me. Thank you.